Hey, so how would you like to learn how to level up your career as a software developer? That's what we're going to be talking about tonight is how to advance as a software developer. I am Jeff Ammons, Chief Instructor of Code Career Academy, and I am going to be walking you through tonight a little bit of what we can do here to help you if you're either already a software developer or you'd like to become one. Maybe you are a DBA or a sysadmin. Maybe you work in QA and you'd like to transition into development. That's what we're going to be talking about here tonight. Other folks who might benefit, product management, IT managers, that sort of thing. So let's switch over to the slides and get started here. Okay, really quick, who am I? My name is Jeff Ammons. I am the CEO and Chief Instructor at Code Career Academy. I am a Microsoft MVP and Pluralsight author, and I have been writing code professionally for over 25 years. If you will put your name and your location in the comments with any questions, or if you just want me to say hi, I would appreciate it if you would do that. Now, bear in mind that it's not instantaneous, so I have to keep refreshing and see if I see you over there. So if you would, just let me know you're there and let me know if you have any questions. So onward and upward. So tell me, does this sound like you? I'm pretty good with jQuery, but I'd really like to truly understand JavaScript, including ECMAScript 6. Or how about this? I've been doing front-end development for a while, but I'd like to break into back-end as well so I could be a full-stack developer. Or there just aren't many jobs available in the stack that I'm working with. I'd like to learn C# and .NET because I see tons of job listings and the pay is usually pretty great. In case you've forgotten who I am or you just joined a little bit late, I'm Jeff Ammons, CEO, Chief Instructor at Code Career Academy. And I'm talking about how you can level up your developer career. If you would put your name and where you're from in the comments and any kind of questions you have, I'll say hi. Okay, so how can taking a class here at Code Career Academy help you to level up your current career as a developer? Okay, first, you can help you boost your confidence. Have you ever felt like you were suffering from the dreaded impostor syndrome? You feel like, wow, everybody around here knows more than I do, and I'm not real sure. I'm kind of afraid to speak up sometimes for fear that I'm going to look silly or I'm not going to know something I feel like everyone else thinks I should know. Well, there's no better way to combat that than boosting your confidence. And how do you boost your confidence? It's by making sure you really know your stuff. So the best way to do that is to master the fundamentals. Start from the ground up and learn the details. So if you feel like you kind of know JavaScript, but you'd like to be more confident, the best way to really combat that is to dig in and really build a lot with the language. I just realized I'm still wearing my headphones, so I'm going to take those off because I look pretty goofy. Okay, build a ton of projects, and I mean real world projects, not just contrived exercises. One of the things you see with a lot of online lessons is they will give you these kind of contrived exercises or coding challenges, which are not the same as building a real project. In my classes, I have you build real world style projects, and a lot of them. So what makes our classes great? First off, they're more than 6 months long. You really need time to absorb what you're learning. This is, let's see if I can bring my cup up here. So if you can see my coffee cup, if I carefully measure, amount of water to fill this cup, I have 1 cup of coffee or 1 cup of water. So if I take this same cup and I dump a 5-gallon drum of water over it, how much water remains in the cup? Not 5 gallons, but exactly the same amount as if I carefully filled it up. I feel that's true about how people learn, how the human brain absorbs information. If I just throw information at you at a high rate of speed, a lot of people use the terminology drinking from a fire hose. Can you really drink from a fire hose, or will it just knock you over backwards? This is why my classes, I made sure they're a little over 6 months. It's essentially 6 months of instruction, but when I tell you I'm going to give you 6 months of instructions, if I'm going to throw in holidays and vacation days, that doesn't take away from your instruction, that just pushes back the end date, because I think you need the time to absorb the information. And really, if your goal is to master the fundamentals, having a short program is not the way to do it. Okay, even so, even though I am longer than most of the classes you might see, we're usually less expensive than just about anybody else, because the fact that we're located up in Lawrenceville means that our rent is a lot lower than if we were in Atlanta. And we pass that savings along to our students. So we're always competitive on price. If you compare us to anybody, compare the length of the program and the price, and you'll see that we almost always come out as your least expensive option. We also let you study from home. In case your first thought a second ago was, well, I don't want to go to Lawrenceville. Well, you don't have to come to Lawrenceville. You can remote in. It's a lot like what we're doing here tonight, but I typically use Skype for Business. One of the things that you get with my program, we're part of Microsoft's Office 365 for Education plan. So you will get an Office 365 account that will give you things like a ccalearn.tech email address, login for Skype for Business, and it'll give you a terabyte of storage on Microsoft's cloud. Plus all of the online versions of the Office apps. You don't get the downloadable ones, but you get the online versions. So you get your choice. I typically have a combination of folks in the classroom and online. And so if you're online, it's still a live class. You're still hearing me speak as I speak, and you can ask me questions just as if you were in the class. What a lot of people will do, since the class meets 2 evenings a week from 6:30 to 9:30 and then half a day on Saturday, a lot of folks who live farther out will remote in during the week and then come in physically on Saturday. That's your way to get the best of both worlds, because there is no doubt about it that if I'm looking at your face while I'm lecturing and you're giving me the little dog with his head cocked sideways look, I know to say, hey, are you not getting this? So, but it's your choice. You can go either way. The other thing you want to make sure that you do, and the thing that we're doing, is we want to teach you technology that has lots of jobs. It doesn't do you a lot of good to learn a whole bunch of technologies which there just aren't jobs for. My philosophy is start with the end goal in mind. If your goal is to get jobs, look for the technology with jobs, not the technologies people say are cool. So anyway, I teach the combination of C#, ASP.NET Core, which is Microsoft's new cross-platform version, JavaScript, Node.js, SQL, tons and tons more. We live on Git and GitHub. We do lots and lots of different libraries and frameworks around it, but I focus primarily on the core. So how many jobs? When I say there are more jobs, let's just break it down. This is from Career Builder. If you go to Career Builder on any given day and you put in the Atlanta area and you ask for how many jobs there are available in a given technology, the numbers will fluctuate up and down day to day, but the ratios tend to stay pretty stable. For the most part, you're going to see more JavaScript jobs than anything else, simply because everything gets paired with JavaScript. So it's always something on the back end plus JavaScript on the front end. But if you look for Node specifically, there's usually around 40, 50 jobs. Not bad, but that's not as many as, say, Java or .NET. If you look up .NET or Java, you'll see that normally that between the two, they split the jobs pretty much evenly. Everything else is kind of in a third category. And so one day Java will be higher, one day C# will be higher. That really is irrelevant. Then you have languages like Ruby on Rails. Great language, great framework, but there aren't that many jobs. Usually, on here I've got 18 on the day that I look. Just yesterday I was looking and there were like 6 or 8 jobs listed on Career Builder. Python, usually in the 40s, somewhere in that range. Other languages, PHP, they're usually somewhere between Python and Ruby there. So the first thing I tell you when you're thinking about what languages to learn, the first choice is a business choice, not a technology choice. Where are their jobs? So if you look at this chart here, my recommendation would be to pair JavaScript with either Java or .NET for the greatest chance of keeping good employment. So once you've made the business decision to pair JavaScript with either Java or C#, then it becomes a technical question in my mind. And for me, I have worked extensively with both Java and C#, and I prefer C#. though the best way I can explain is if you take C# and you take away my favorite little features and conveniences, then you've got Java. Not a knock on Java. I could work in Java all day and not have a problem with it. But C# just has a whole bunch of stuff that makes it nicer. And C# gives me reach into places that I can't get to very easily with Java or as well with Java. With something like Unity, I can work on games, or I could work on AR or VR kind of projects. I could work with Xamarin. I could build native iOS or Android apps. Basically, in that world, it's a freebie now for Microsoft, but you can write in C# and probably get 70 to 90% of your code in C# and then transpile over to either native iOS or native Android. Okay, so back to what's important. What do I think's important when I designed my curriculum? I want it to be low level, hands-on. I want you to go back to the basics. I want to build you from the ground up so that we just find the missing pieces. Yes, you'll probably repeat some things you already know, but not everybody knows the same things. So almost everyone who's ever taken my class, whether they were an absolute beginner or someone who either has a master's degree or is finishing a master's degree, they tell me they learned something that they didn't know. And that's because I start you with nothing but a text editor and we work our way up from there. When I say basics, I mean basics. Then at the end, we go through all of the stuff that's either, if you've got a CS degree, it'll be a review. If you're like a lot of folks who come in through a non-traditional route into programming, maybe that's why you feel that imposter syndrome. Maybe it's because you didn't have those CS courses. Well, my philosophy is that most colleges do it what I would consider backwards. They start you out with data structures, algorithm analysis, when you haven't really written any code yet. So how do you understand what they're teaching? So what I do is I run you through this whole long set of courses on front end and then back end, and you build tons and tons of projects. Then we finish up with data structures, algorithms, algorithm analysis. If anyone has ever scared you with the phrase big O notation, this is where it comes from, and this is what we'll be talking about in algorithm analysis. So for JavaScript and C#, I teach the languages, not just frameworks. It's like the earlier slide where I said, oh, I know jQuery, but I don't feel that confident with plain vanilla JavaScript. That is why I start out with just plain JavaScript. We learn object-oriented JavaScript, we learn functional JavaScript, and then we do the same thing again with C#. I want you to understand what's going on. My philosophy is it's great to use the frameworks for efficiency and productivity, but only after you really understand the language, so that when something goes wrong in that framework or library, you can figure it out. Have you ever had the feeling, sometimes I feel like I just copy and paste from Stack Overflow and I'm happy when it works and confused when it doesn't. This is what I'm trying to combat. I'm trying to get you to really learn the language, the fundamentals of the language. You're going to write your own plain vanilla JavaScript, plain vanilla C#, and plain old SQL. I'll have you doing SQL joins, inner joins, outer joins, cross joins. Oh my. Okay, so that was cheesy. But anyway, I teach you the latest versions of the languages. When we do C#, we're going to be using .NET Core, which, as I mentioned earlier, is Microsoft's new version that is cross-platform. You can work on Mac, you can work on Linux, you can work on Windows, it doesn't matter. Deploy to Linux, it's all good. I also do ECMAScript 6 when we do JavaScript. We start with kind of the traditional JavaScript, if you will, and then we add in the ES6 using either Babel or TypeScript, and I'll show you each essentially. Okay, I have lost the ability for the clicky to respond. Let's see if I can get it to aha. So this is where I have to toot my own horn even when it makes me uncomfortable. But you get to study with someone super experienced. I'm a Microsoft MVP, Pluralsight author, a frequent speaker at conferences, user groups, and I have over 25 years of experience as a developer. So who am I again? If you have just joined in, Jeff Ammons, Microsoft MVP, Pluralsight author, as I just said, CEO, Chief Instructor at Code Career Academy, and I have been writing code for a really long time. Put your name and your location in the comments, and I will happily say hi or answer your questions if you have any. So my next class is going to be starting March the 12th, so it's coming up really soon, and we're filling up. We only take a maximum of 12 students. I don't take more than that. And my philosophy on that is that I want to have one-on-one time with each student. I don't want to have so many students that I have to phone it in or have assistants or TAs. I work one-on-one with my students, so this is a chance to work with someone experienced directly. If you want to learn more about the class, you can go to codecareeracademy.com/info/level-up-your-development-career. And if you can't remember that, go to Code Career Academy and click on Course Offerings, or hover over it and let it drop down and look for the title Level Up Your Development Career. If you'd like to follow me on the web, I blog at jeffa.tech, although I haven't updated that one in a while because I've been mostly writing stuff on ccalearn.tech. This is the new site that is basically a subscription site where you can get video courses that I'm working on right now. Essentially, I'm turning my courses all over there, but it's going to take probably about a year to get all of them online. I have one up right now, and it covers the intro to HTML, but if you're watching this particular presentation, that's probably not for you yet. It's probably too simple. The website for the company is codecareeracademy.com, and the sister site there is ccalearn.tech. On Facebook, you can find us at Code Career Academy, and if you're watching this on Facebook, I assume you already found me on Facebook. On Twitter, I'm Jeffa00, and on also Code Career Acad. If you are interested if you're not, maybe you don't have a lot of people on Twitter that you know who you can follow who do good technical tweets. If you follow Code Career Acad, I have a subscription list, a list that you can subscribe to that I curate a list of people I think do good technical tweets. And then you will get their tweets just by following the list. So I believe that is it for tonight's live stream. I just want to do a real quickie one so that I could walk you through here. If you have any comments and you haven't had a chance to put them in, let me do a refresh over here because I have to look off screen for that to the other monitor. I see some folks on there, but I don't see any comments. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. So if you didn't get a chance to ask a question that you wanted answered, just go ahead and either go ahead and post it in the comments and I'll see it later, or you can message me directly on Facebook or send me an email at info@codecareeracademy.com. And thanks for joining. Also, don't forget, this Sunday we have another live stream coming up at I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 o'clock. Let me look real quick to see. Let's see here, Facebook, and it's that awkward part where I remember that I forgot to look something up before I started. All right, so of course, when I'm live, it's going to fight me. Let's see, what time do we have it? Why am I not seeing it? Here we go. This will be 3 o'clock on Sunday. So if you go to codecareeracademy.com, Sam Ludke, who's going to be teaching a different class for me in May, will be live streaming that day. That's going to be a variation on our class that's going to be a web design and development course, which is going to be 8 weeks long. So if you are not already in the career and you're wanting to start a career, that's a great place to take that one first and then later come back and take the back end class for your full stack. So that's it for me. I am going to shut down the stream now. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching if you see it later, and I'll talk to you later.